Bitcoin is an ideology that spawned a protocol that created an asset that circulates on a network. The ideology is sovereignty, sound money, freedom and property rights, right? Dignity of the human spirit, ownership of your life force, economic sovereignty and immortality. That's the ideology of Bitcoin. And Satoshi gave us that.
Altcoins come and go, narratives change, but Bitcoin is the truth. The hardest money the world has ever seen. I thought about it, long and hard, pros, the cons, dug deep, questioned everything, and at the end of the day, you've got to make up your own damn mind. I have conviction. This is freedom. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. I'm a Bitcoin maxi. This is freedom. I'm a Bitcoin maxi.
All right, legends. I think you should be able to see me, hear me, crispy clean. It should all be good. Let's just put the music here nicely in the background. My voice should also sound a lot better than the previous live stream, because after I finished the live stream, I was like, hang on, my mic is not even plugged in, and here I am speaking into the mic the whole time. I was just, using the laptop mic. So I listened to the live stream and no one complained. Everyone was just like, liking and just subscribing and giving me love. No one said, Dewald, hey, your mic, it sounds a bit like you're a robot today. Okay, well, now today it should sound fine. Right, Legends, a lot to discuss. I had a private live stream with the Legends Pro community this morning, so a lot to discuss. Okay, and also, as the reason why most people join is, are we going up? Are we going down? What is the probabilities? Are we going to take the high? Are we going to take the low? Right, we will tackle all of the scenarios. Well, most of the scenarios that I do see that could still potentially play out here on the price of Bitcoin. There's a chance. Okay, remember to smash up that like button for the education, for the alpha. There's a chance that the low is in. Okay, And now we are going to find a little bit more upwards momentum here. And there's a chance to even come and claim this high. Definitely a chance to come and claim this high, and the low could be in. Is there a chance to claim the low? Definitely. We will speak about the probabilities and what I'm seeing here at the moment on the price of Bitcoin. So let's get the party on the road. Let me say hi to the community. Okay, not a lot of people here at the moment, 48 people, so it's easy to say hi to the community. Jeroen, WXY played out. Yes, WXY played out, and that is a scenario that I have been talking about, and it is this one, right, where basically you have formed, okay, a W, okay, X, and then an A, B, C in a Y, which means that the low could be in, right? Definitely it hit some, I think it hit the 786 if I'm not mistaken. And so there's a chance that you have an impulse, okay? You have a corrective structure in a three-wave structure, and now you want to see momentum to continue here to the upside. So this little structure, very interesting, is this, guys, for momentum to continue to the upside. What you would like to see is for this to be an impulsive structure, a corrective structure, and continuation to the upside. Also, a couple of things that I shared with the Legends Pro community this morning, where they get the alpha first. Okay, if you guys would like to join our Legends Pro community, links are always down in the description. Oops, let me just pause that. Zoom in here. There is the link to join our Legends Pro community. Okay, sorry, this one, right? Legends Pro community, if you'd like to come and get the alpha first. Okay, so now, I think the most important thing is what is going on inside of this local structure over here. Okay, so maybe for now, let's start off with this little local structure. Okay, let's go and assess the probabilities and show everyone what I'm currently looking at. And then there's something that I want to talk about, the larger time frame. Even here on the daily, there's a couple of things I want to discuss here on the daily time frame as well, looking at this structure. I can see I'm still on the lock scale. Let me just fix that. Okay, so now, legends, let's go back here onto the 15-minute time frame. Okay, let's zoom in. And now the question is, on the 15-minute time frame, when we look at this structure here to the upside, it really does look better as a corrective structure to the upside, which means if you have a corrective structure to the upside, you could definitely come and claim the lows again. Okay, it is a very ugly impulsive structure here to the upside, but there is a way to count an impulsive structure here to the upside. It's not pretty, I have to say, it's not pretty, but there's a way to count an ugly impulsive structure here to the upside, where you have a 1, you have your 2, and now you're going to go up here in either a C or a third wave. Okay, so there's a chance, and I will go through that scenario in a moment. One thing I do want to highlight is that I think it was in the previous live stream, I did say, guys, it is very important for the bulls to claim this level that I have here on the chart. Very important to claim this level. Okay, you basically want price to tap this pivot. That's what you want, because if price taps this pivot, now you're looking at an expanding structure, okay, which is rare, never preferred unless all other scenarios fail, and all other scenarios have not failed. And now, this is now where the conundrum comes in. If I zoom in, okay, let's zoom in some more. You will see, if I make this nice and big, that price did not tap that level, which means that the bears are still in control for now. Price front run it. Okay, and I did snap this level on with a magnet onto the previous low. So you can go and check it out on the exchange that you do your technical analysis on, but on my exchange, no bueno. Okay, we did not hit that little pivot. Okay, so we cannot look at expanding structures, and this could still be an impulsive structure here to the downside, where you have your 1, 2, 3, 4 that did not go into the territory of 1, and this is now building 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to come and claim the lows, which is now obviously the next trading scenario that I am looking at. If price had to fall down here, okay, claim the lows, and it gets acceptance back above. It starts trading back above. That to me will be an interesting long opportunity. Okay. Only if price trades back above my level. Not interested in catching a falling knife, because what if it just waterfalls, okay? It's not how we trade, right? You need to wait for confirmation, even if it means that you get a higher entry. I would rather have a higher entry and have confirmation of the trade where the odds are in my favor than trying to catch the bottom, okay? Because that's how you burn an account. There. This is where you burn your account. This is where you get liquidated. This is where you never want to trade again. This is where you lose your life savings. This is a calculated trade. This is not gambling. This is good risk management and waiting for confirmation. This is gambling. Okay. Right. So just had to put that out there because, you know, people that don't practice good risk management, you know how that goes. And also to the downside, okay, for the more experienced traders, also to the downside, we still have 2 naked point of controls that have not been tapped. So this is where, oops, what did I do? Right. This is where swing failure patterns come in. So if you are the trader, you know, that are not very experienced, wait for price to get back above this low. If you're experienced from a swing failure perspective and price does find its way here to the downside, you can SFP these levels, giving you a better entry. Okay. One of these two is the ones that I'm looking at. It would be really strange for price to dip this deep, but definitely, you know, we've got levels of confidence to the downside. Let's keep them in mind and observe the reaction to the downside. So, in essence, if price does not take the high and it continues momentum to the downside, this is the best long trade. Okay, from a risk to reward perspective, it's a really good long trade where price could bounce and come and take the highs, eat up all of these highs, and potentially even go to all-time high once again. So this is a very interesting trade that I will definitely be keeping an eye on. Right, now, what if, okay, and this is where we discuss all possible scenarios. So definitely a trading scenario in this zone. Now you might be asking yourself and say, well, Dewald, what if the low is in? The low is in. We've pumped here to the upside. This looks very three-wavy here to the downside. What if this is the low? And now we are going to build momentum here to the upside. So spend some time this morning trying to make sense of this structure here to the upside. So let's zoom in. Let's switch off the levels. Okay, I also got frustrated, by the way. Okay, can you see I was waiting for a swing failure pattern from my level of confluence, and it got front run by a couple of dollars. Okay, I wanted to dip below, get accepted. I was waiting for this trade and it got front run. And then someone in the Legends Pro community pointed out this high volume node. And I looked at it after the live stream. I was like, what if this is the low? Okay, because C waves, if this is a ABC here to the downside, 3-wave structure, ABC, okay, to the downside, C waves loves to end on a high amount of volume. What if this is the end? And now we are going to continue with the rocket here to the upside. And well, now I can see price is pumping. This is definitely one of the scenarios that I was definitely keeping an eye on. Okay, is to say that, well, now you have to count this structure as an impulsive structure from this low to the high. Okay, you have to count this somehow an impulsive structure to the upside. 3-wave corrective structure, and now you're going to build your, you know, momentum here back to the upside. So here we go. This is not a pretty count, but it is a count. Okay. It's an expanding diagonal, which is rare, never preferred unless all other scenarios fail. But this is the only way that I can count a bullish structure inside of this. You know, if we are now speculating, well, what if this is the low? And what if this is the low? Can we get upwards momentum? Okay, and this is the trend that I showed the Legends Pro community. I said, guys, if it breaks out over here, okay, there's a chance that we could continue. Look at the green trend. right? So there's a chance that it can continue here to the upside and the low is in. And this is the best way that I can count a bullish structure at the moment, is you basically formed a 1, 3-wave corrective, 3, okay, all 3 are leading, expanding diagonal, 3-wave structures, okay, 3-wave structure. And now this is where it becomes interesting. I cannot put the 5 over here. So when I counted the structure, the first thing that I highlighted to the Legends Pro community this morning is to say that, well, if I take a time fib from the low to the high of the structure, okay, it's not time. Where's my, let me just click on this, right? Wait, I need to redo that. Something doesn't make sense. Maybe it's because I was on the lock scale. Okay, let's do this again. Go from the low to the high. There we go. That's better. Right? And I told the Legends, my level did not get tapped. My naked point of control. And it's also not time. But then when I went and counted the structure, I was like, okay, oops, shit. Maybe it is time. Okay? Because your 5th wave cannot end. Let me just click on that. Your 5th wave cannot end over there, because if your 5th wave ends over there, it means that your 3rd wave is the shortest. It's not allowed. So your 5th wave has to end over here. And now what you have formed is an A, B, flat, C to the downside. And then when I adjust the time fib, well, now it makes sense because the low was made after the 0.382, which is the minimum time requirement. Okay, and currently now price is getting some upwards momentum. So all I wanted to highlight, guys, is there's a chance that the low could be in over here. It makes sense from a timing perspective. It's not the prettiest bullish structure. I have to admit, it's not pretty. Okay. And because it's such a rare bullish structure, the probabilities still remain higher to take the low, actually. Okay, but I'm giving the bulls the benefit of the doubt, and that's why I'm saying, you know, I put the boxing gloves on the thumbnail saying I think, you know, the bulls are fighting back. They're fighting back very hard. This can definitely be the low. This can also be the low. A very confusing impulsive structure with an ABC flat, okay, where the B took the high, the C took the low, and now we're getting upwards momentum. I think we also bounced perfectly on the 0.5 Fibonacci. Okay, if you take your fib from the low to the high, beautiful SFP from the 50% Fibonacci. So the bulls have a chance for upwards momentum over here. Okay, so what I'm trying to highlight over here is, guys, there's still a chance to come and claim the low because it's an ugly impulsive structure. If the high does not get taken and price decides to fall back to the downside, it's not going to look good for the bulls. Then I will consider these levels here to the downside, like I've highlighted during the beginning of the stream. So you really want momentum to continue, and you want the bulls to take the damn high. Because once you take the high, okay, you're going to tap this little pivot, which will increase the probabilities for bullish continuation to the upside. Okay, so that's basically what I wanted to discuss here on the smaller time frame. Not much else, guys. Okay, that's how simple, well, not easy. It was not easy to count the structure. Okay, but it's basically a leading, expanding diagonal. Guys, they are extremely rare, but they are rare, so it doesn't mean that they can't play out. And maybe we have just gotten one of the rarest impulsive structures, confusing a lot of Elliott wave traders, and now it's just going to continue here to the upside. Okay, so let's see how this plays out. Litecoin doesn't care. Guys, Litecoin is on a rocket. It's on a moon mission here to the upside. I was checking my swing trade here on Litecoin. I was just like, wow, you know, the profits are absolutely just rolling in here from Litecoin. You all know that I have a swing trade open on Litecoin. I got in at lower levels, positions protected. Some of them I took a little bit of profits just to cover the fees. Like I said in my last live stream, I also entered an XRP trade. I also opened up a cover trade, okay? So on the weekend, you know, when it's scary, I like to buy. That's just part of my strategy. I like to buy when things are fucking scary as hell, okay? But damn, son, Litecoin is not slowing down here. It's just going like a Boeing. So very happy with the Litecoin swing trade here at the moment. Okay, so right, legends, this is now the scenarios that I see here on the 15-minute time frame. Okay, is the question is always, can the correction, can the low still be in? Okay, and we continue the corrective structure. Well, then you're going to label this as a W. Okay, ABC and W, you get an X, and then you get a Y. So you can still go deeper and not take the low. Everyone that played the breakout gets stopped out, and then, you know, it breaks out again. Definitely a chance, okay? But I have to say, from my back testing, when I look at leading diagonals, but more specifically contracting diagonals, it is most common to see a three-wave corrective structure in an ABC. Very common to see a very short-lived corrective structures. In contracting diagonals, maybe now in expanding diagonals as well, for me it's not common to see a long corrective structure that then decides to go to the upside. So there's a good chance that the low could be in. Okay, right, now some other things that I wanted to discuss. So let me just clean up the chart over here. Right, breaking out. So I mean, guys, purely from a D line perspective or a trend line perspective, okay, breaking out, stop goes below the low. As price moves in your favor, these becomes your profit taking areas always. These little pivots, great profit taking areas. Can it go higher? Of course, but at least pay yourself something, okay? When you start hitting profit taking areas, what you could also do is start de-risking yourself, protect your position. If you get stopped out, you lose no money. You still get stopped out with the amazing profits that you've made here to the upside. Okay, the market is unpredictable. You never know what's going to happen. But the one thing that I do want to highlight is if you did manage to catch a long trade here to the upside and momentum continues, what you want to do is take your trend-based FIB from the low to the high of 5 to the low of the corrective structure. And there's a chance, okay, that this can continue. Okay, watch out for these levels. Now, these levels become profit-taking areas. Okay, if this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 here to the upside, there's a chance that it can even go and hit $119,000, $120,000. Okay, this could be an epic trade here to the upside. So leave some of the position open, but at least pay yourself, cover your fees. Just at least pay yourself, because as per the bearish case scenarios, okay, price can roll down. Stop you out, okay? But this is also a very interesting area where I'll be looking for a longing opportunity. Right, cool, legends. Now what I want to discuss is a little bit of daily time frame analysis. Okay, let me just take a sip of water over here. Psst. Mr. Pac-Man, welcome. Great to see the mods here. Stefan One, CEO of TA Maxi is here. Dewald, Jeroen, welcome, man. Okay, let me just scroll here down to the bottom. I see there's a lot of comments coming in. Hello, Dewald from Switzerland. Patrick, welcome. Welcome to the live stream. This is where we do pure technical analysis using a lot of strategies, including Elliott wave theory, volume, harmonics, D-line strategy. Okay, swing failure patterns. I like to discuss them all, because when you start combining these strategies, that's where it becomes very, very powerful. ILV, yeah, I did see ILV. Outdorpy, I did see ILV. ILV is getting some nice upwards momentum. Okay. On Coinbase, we did hit that pivot. Well, if we did hit this pivot on Coinbase or another large exchange, the only three that I really consider is Binance, Bybit, and Coinbase. So if this pivot was tapped on one of those large exchanges, well, then the probabilities are on the bull side, okay, that we are going to go higher. Right, but on my exchange here on Binance, we did not tap the pivot, so I want to see bullish continuation once we claimed it properly. Okay, right, what else? We hit 1.3 at C target. I mean, it's interesting to see also here. I didn't actually do that measurement, but if I measure this as a corrective target, A, B, okay, 2 extension was hit to perfection. Okay, you can also measure it. Well, if you have your top over there, then you measure it from here to there, right? 1.382. So I see what you mean. Okay, but I am counting the impulse as ending over here, because if your impulse ends over here, there's a problem. Okay, there's a problem. It means that your third wave is the shortest. It's not allowed to be the shortest. So that's why I put my fifth wave over here, so that it's not, that the third wave is not the shortest, and I'm counting this as part of the correction. Okay, this wave I'm counting as part of the correction. Right, regardless. Anyways, legends, welcome. Hey, Mr. Andy is here in the live chat section. Absolute legend, the master of technical analysis. If you guys haven't checked out Andy, he's here in the chat section. Go and go and give him a follow, guys. He's almost at 100,000 subscribers. So if you haven't checked out Andy, go and check him out. An absolute legend from a trading perspective and technical analysis. Very few people, okay, provide excellent educational content here on YouTube. Andy is one of those, right? Way better technical analyst than me. Anyways, let's continue. EI professors, yeah, welcome Andy. Yes, Andy in the house. Right, so Andy, I was just, explaining this little scenario over here. I said, Andy, if we have to count this as an impulsive structure, okay, there's only one way to do it. It's very ugly, never preferred, I know, but what if momentum continues here to the upside? Then we have to consider, well, maybe this was it, right? Where we have formed an expanding structure. I know, I also went when I saw it, okay? But your third wave is not the shortest, okay, which was important, and that's why I put the fifth wave over here. But you've basically formed a 3-wave 1, 3-wave corrective, 3-wave 3, 3-wave corrective, and inside of this fifth wave, if you zoom into the smaller time frame, there's always also a 3-wave structure. Okay, and then this could be your ABC flat, right? Ended on a high amount of volume. And for the bulls, you broke the line. You want to come and tap this pivot. Basically, you want to claim that high. Okay, for probabilities for the bulls, you want to claim that high here to the upside. For the bears, like I've discussed during the beginning of the stream, I have to say, guys, this is a very ugly impulsive structure. But if I have to force a count in here, it makes sense. Hasn't broken any rules. But if this is corrective here to the upside, you do not want to take this high. You want price to make a lower high and continue momentum to the downside, where I've spoken about the levels here from a longing perspective. Okay, now what I want to talk about, legends, is let's dive into I wonder if I should highlight these examples. Okay, there's a couple of things I want to show everyone. Let's focus on this little structure. Okay, what I want to discuss now, guys, and this is something that I went into a lot of detail with the Legends Pro community this morning as well. When you form an impulse to the upside, okay, let's put the line in here. Right, in Elliott wave theory, what you want to see, it's not a hardcore rule, but what you want to see is that you want to see a fourth wave that is at least the same length as your second wave, if not longer, preferably longer. Okay, and this is a rule that I've always applied when I look at 5-wave structures, either to the upside or to the downside. But I have kept track and I have data that proves to me that this does not always happen. Okay, sometimes what happens is this. And then what happens is you're counting all of this as part of the third wave. You keep on waiting for the fourth wave because it's too small. Okay, we keep on waiting for the fourth wave and it doesn't come, and the momentum continues to the downside and then it blasts off. Whatever, so if it's a corrective structure. So I looked at my data over the last couple of days, last 2 days. I looked at my data and I noticed that I have missed a lot of trades because of this. Okay, you want to see a nice 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, And always, because I'm waiting for this or the rejection at the highs, I want to short, the fifth wave where it gets acceptance back below. Many trades I have missed because I'm waiting for this. And actually what happened was that. And I have evidence to prove that it has happened in the past. Where from an Elliott wave perspective, guys, you have to remember, Elliott wave theory was built around stock markets. It's built around mature markets. Okay, so the one thing that I have to consider is that sometimes, just sometimes, okay, you are going to get this, where your 5-wave impulsive structure is done. Okay, incredibly short fourth wave, and then you get a fifth wave to the upside. And I have 2 recent examples that I remember, and I have lots of data on my trading journal that also states the following. During this impulse, the red box that I've got highlighted over here. So guys, just bear with me. I'm building up to something a little bit bigger. Okay, just bear with me. When we made the low, let's say over here. Okay, so I'm looking at this impulse. And we made the low over here. I was looking at a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Remember, each wave has to have 5 waves inside of it. Okay, and now this is where I remember the most recent example is that you have formed maybe a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, because there's another leg in there. You create your correction, so you basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you have your 5th wave here to the upside. Okay, now look at what happened when I zoom into this little structure. Remember, you have to count 5 waves. Okay, so if I zoom into the structure, maybe let's go to the 15 minutes, so just we can see those candles a little bit better. Because this is where one of the places where it caught us off guard. But I remember, if you go back to the live stream over here, I had a short entry right over there. And I placed the short not based on Elliott wave theory, but based on what I've seen play out over here. 3 peaks, okay? You have your 3 peaks, and you made your last peak on lower volume. So I knew that there's a chance for price to roll over. So I actually entered a short over here, and I played nice momentum here to the downside, taking profits on the way down. Nonetheless, what I want to highlight over here is that we were looking at this structure as, okay, maybe you counted from here, 1, 2, okay, 3, we were waiting for 4 and 5, okay, and we were all waiting for this level to short. We wanted that 5th wave here to the upside. It gets acceptance back below, beautiful short, and we ride the momentum here to the downside. We didn't get that. And remember, it's supposed to be a 5-wave structure. Well, there is 5 waves in it, okay? So if I do this, and I do this, and I do this, well, now you can see, well, there is 5 waves. Okay. Do you guys see what I'm trying to highlight over here? Is that perhaps inside of crypto, the 4th wave rule is not as hardly applied or relevant because it's crypto, doesn't work the same as the stock markets, the Forex, the S&P 500, the NASDAQ, just maybe. Because this is a 5th wave to the upside. It has to have 5 waves to the upside. So if you are looking for a corrective structure that is at least the same length as your 2nd wave, well, we didn't get it. Okay, so this looks like a 3-wave structure to the upside. And we were waiting for 4 and 5. We didn't get 5. So there was a shorting opportunity that was missed. Okay, by a lot of people, because we were waiting for the 5th wave, We know Elliott wave theory states that you need to have a larger consolidation area, and we didn't get it. Right, so let me take you to another example. Okay, so that is example number 1. And here is example number 2. Okay, and this was a corrective structure to the downside. I remember this because myself and Andy actually did a live call together and we analyzed the structure together. But what we both agreed on is that this looks extremely bullish. Okay, this looks extremely bullish, and this looks extremely corrective. A, B, C. Okay, and then what happened in a C wave? What you want to see in a C wave is 5 waves. And what do we get? We got a 1, 2, 3. We got a 3-wave structure. So, you know, one could go crazy and say, well, if I zoom into the smaller time frames, like the 5-minute, 3-minute time frame, there is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like a 4, 5. There's a small little fourth wave in there. Some people argue and say, well, no, it's not a C, it's a WXY. And then you have your ABC in your Y. Okay, well, it's anyways, guys. All I'm trying to highlight is that inside of the crypto market, I have seen fourth waves that are extremely tiny. And it's also got to do with the rule of alternation. So in Elliott wave theory, it also states that, okay, let's just do this, right? Rule of alternation. If you have a short second wave, and maybe it goes deep, okay, a deep, short second wave, rule of alternation states that if you have a deep, short second wave, you could have a long, dragged out fourth wave. If you have a long second wave, okay, you could have a tiny little fifth wave. Rule of alternation. Okay, so definitely something that I will consider in my future trading. Now, you might be asking yourself, Dewald, why are you showing us this? Okay, the reason I'm showing you guys this is because when I go onto the 4-hour time frame, okay, and let me just switch off the noise over here and put the boxes off. The reason, guys, the reason I'm showing you this is because of this. Okay, in the last live stream, someone asked me, Dewald, can we be forming a 112 looking at this structure? And I really, after the live stream, I really thought about it long and hard. I went through my notes. I went through my trading journal. Where did I get stopped out? Where did I miss opportunities? Why did I miss those opportunities? And someone asked me in the last live stream, can this be a 112? And my comment in the last live stream was exactly what I've just spoken about. Okay, it's very difficult for me to count a 5-wave structure from this low to the high, considering that your fourth wave needs to be long, at least the same length as your second wave. So if this is 1 and this is 2, and maybe this was a WXY corrective structure, can you see how long this corrective structure is? So you're looking for something similar. You're looking for a long corrective structure, and we did not take the high. But now I'm throwing you, well, what if this was the fourth wave? Okay, because I have seen it happen in the past. Okay, what if this was 1, this is 2, this is 3, 4, and 5? So there is a way to count 5 waves inside of the structure. It's not pretty, it doesn't follow the rules, okay, but it's not an invalidation. Okay, it just impacts the probabilities. That's all it does, right? So based on the new information, I have to now consider a couple of new scenarios. Okay, so if we look at Bitcoin on the daily time frame, okay, let's zoom in here. Let's switch this off. Can you guys see? I'm building up to something. Okay, I'm building up to something. Right, so if I look at Bitcoin from the lows that we've created in November 2022 to the highs, okay, the one thing that I always keep in mind is structure. Okay, the trend is up. You are still making higher highs, higher highs. You are still making higher lows, higher lows. The bullish structure is still intact. So the trend is your friend until the very end. And there's no reason at all from a structural perspective to consider this, or maybe even a larger correction like this. Like, it doesn't make any sense from a structural perspective. And now I have come up with one scenario that looks something like, where did I save it? Right, this. Right, legends, there's a lot of scenarios, but I think there's two that I want to highlight over here. there's still a chance that the bull market is intact. And all we have done over here is formed a double 1-2. And like I've shown you with the fourth waves that I actually have evidence of that has formed in the past, so it's not an invalidation, this could be forming a 1-2, 1-2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5. And then you still need this little leg over here. Okay, where the bull market can still explode here to the upside. Right, so if I consider this scenario in a double 1-2 here to the upside, well, then the invalidation is actually still very far away. This is your invalidation. $98,000, 300. Because remember, a second wave can retrace deep. Okay, it's just not allowed to take that low. It can be 1-2, 1-2, and then okay, but there's a good chance that the low is in, like we've explained on the lower time frames. So the reason I'm highlighting the scenario is that if price for some reason just flies here to the upside, okay, it just rockets, we knew that this was a possibility. Okay, I'm going to talk about the contracting diagonal in a moment, guys. So you can see from Friday or from Sunday's live stream to now, I've changed my rules ever so slightly based on data that I really went and thought about long and hard. Okay, so I don't want to be that person to say that this is not possible. It's not possible. I don't want to be that person. I want to tell everyone that there is a chance that the scenario could still play out. The structure is still on the upside. We are still making higher highs. We're still making higher lows. There's no reason to be bearish. Okay, bull market can still continue here to the upside. Right, so let's talk about the ending diagonal that I have spoken about. Now the question is, okay, this is also something that I spoke about on Sunday and during the previous week, is that yes, so let's say it does count better as three-wave structures, which I actually prefer. I actually prefer this scenario because of the structures looking like three-wave structures. Okay, where you form a 1, 2, 3, 4, which is either in or maybe one more low, and we go up for another 5-wave structure. The question that I'm going to pose over here, or the statement that I'm going to pose over here, is that this can either be an ending diagonal or it could be a leading diagonal. So if you are the type of person that's trading with the trend because you have no reason to be bearish, the 4-year cycle is still intact, maybe it's just going to take a little bit longer to play out before we get the euphoria to the upside, well, then you want to see a leading diagonal. Okay, so after the 5th wave, you get a 3-wave corrective structure that preferably finishes after the 0.382, which is on the 2nd of October. Okay, so this can be either leading or it could be ending. If it's an ending diagonal, like we've discussed on Sunday, well, then the top is in and we start impulses to the downside. Okay. Right, so based, let me just zoom out over here. If I had to choose a side, I will always choose the side with the trend. And for now, the trend is up. Okay, like I've just explained. So if I have to choose sides from a technical perspective, of which this being the worst case scenario, I'm still expecting up. Okay, so if I now switch on that macro scenario that I've just shown you, this one over here, okay, you can see in both scenarios, I'm still expecting price to go up because I am in the camp of I'm trading with the trend. I have no reason to be bearish just as yet. So whether this is forming a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, or whether this is forming a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm still expecting up. And there's no reason for me to be bearish just as yet. The structure is still intact. So that is something that I want to highlight, and you will see this is a little bit different from what I presented on Sunday because, you know, I had to dig a little bit and just weigh up the pros and the cons. Okay, so the proof is going to be in the pudding. Well, what happens here? Okay, so for the double 1-2 scenario, let me switch off the ending diagonal. Okay, for this scenario to play out, this is the level that needs to be tapped. So if I do this, measure the third wave. Wait. Third wave. Right, from the low to the high to the low. If we make another low, I will drag this down. Okay, but this is now the price action we have right now. Okay, so if price just rock and rolls here to the upside and it taps the 1-to-1 extension, okay, we could be looking at this scenario. Because in a contracting diagonal, if I switch this off, okay, let's just to show when let me just switch it on here. Right, your fifth wave is not allowed to be longer than your third wave. So as soon as you tap this line, you are going to make the other structure here to the upside. If price rejects at the 618 or the 786, it basically respects the triangle. Okay, and we fall here to the downside. This move to the downside is going to be very interesting to analyze for a bounce back to the upside. So that's going to be my clue. That's going to be the clue that I need to look for. Right, so legends, I know this is a little bit of higher time frame analysis, but I just wanted to, give you guys the alpha in terms of what I do see here from a technical perspective. Okay, based on everything that I've now just shared here on the live stream. Right, so for that person, I can't remember who asked me. Okay, for that person that asked me, Dewald, is it possible to have a double 1-2? The answer is yes, it is possible. Okay, this scenario is definitely possible. Considering, okay, because I know a lot of technical analysts are going to look at this and say, well, you've got 1, 2, and 3. There's no 4 and 5, so they're not going to look at this as a double 1-2. Based on my data, I have seen fourth waves do that. I have seen it. Remember, it's not an invalidation. Okay, so you can count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside of wave 1. And structurally, without counting the internal waves, what I do like about the double 1-2 is that you have a large 1-2 and now you have a smaller 1-2. And if it wants to make another 1-2, doesn't matter. And the more 1-2s, the more bullish it becomes. Okay. But this is what I like to see, is that your 1-2s are getting smaller. It looks like that contracting diagonal. Okay. Because in Elliott wave theory, your first 1-2 is usually the largest one. And you get your smaller one, on your smaller one, and then you get the explosion. That is what you want to see in a double or triple 1-2 combo. And this is structurally what looks very pretty at the moment. Right, cool legends. That is basically what I wanted to discuss over here. All right, let me go through some comments. What is Litecoin doing? Oof, man, what a trade, what a trade. Okay, and I'm not planning to cash out that trade just as yet. I might go and take some profits. We have claimed the high, so I think I'm going to go and take some profits. Okay. Right, here we go. Do you think the start of the bull market is a leading diagonal? The start of the bull market, that's a very interesting question. Okay, obviously, whatever happened here started from here. And then you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a contracting diagonal. Yes, it looks like it started in a contracting diagonal. Okay, some of the rules that you have to apply is to say that, well, it's not allowed. Okay, well, that's how everything started. Guys, you're on a daily time frame, so it's not easy to analyze it just based on daily candles, but let's do some rough technical analysis. Your third wave needs to be the longest, so I just want to check. Yes, it's longer than 1, so that balances. Right, so this looks like a contracting diagonal. Okay, that started everything. Could even be expanding. I don't know. I need to go and look at those structures, but it's overlapping. Okay, so it can't be an impulse because that pivot took that high. So it has to be either expanding or contracting. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, A, B, C, or A, B, C. Okay, 1, 2, 3, and you just go. Right, you just go. So this could be the exact same scenario that could play out here where price is at the moment, okay, in that contracting diagonal. Very interesting. Okay, right, let's just get back to where we are. Right, do you think the start of, okay, leading diagonal? Yes. Vessi, Cutty, and Cutty? Yes, I do think that that was a contracting diagonal. Euro. That was also what I was thinking. Yes, I mean, it can't be an impulse because the 4 and 1 overlap. So it has to be contracting or a diagonal. So that's how it started. And this is how it can start again. Okay. This is definitely how it can start again in this little diagonal. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Correction. Oh God, the bear market's back. You know how it goes. Okay, bear market, we're going down. Okay, you can just imagine the fear. Okay, like the little bit of fear we had over here. Okay, bear, you know almost how over emotional the crypto market gets, right? You make a higher low and you continue, right? And then it just leaves. Okay, because this needs to be your most explosive wave in your third wave. Right, of which this is your first one inside of your third wave. But anyways, definitely a chance, okay? And for now, I have to lean on the side of the bulls because market structure is still intact. There's no technical reason for me to be bearish. Nothing. Higher highs, higher lows, the trend is up. 4-year cycle is still intact, has not been invalidated. So technically, there's no reason for me to be bearish. Technically, after you make a high, every dip, okay, lower high becomes an opportunity. Right. Should not be seen as fear. It should be seen as an opportunity. Okay, Dewald, it doesn't matter where the price go. We're here. Go where the money goes. Yes, I see. Step 1 at the end of the day, I'm a day trader. Okay, I trade the levels to the upside and to the downside. I also don't care where the price goes. From a spot back perspective, yes, it would be nice to get those upwards momentums, but from a day trading perspective, all I need is volatility. Whether it wants to go up, whether it wants to go down, I just need volatility. That's it. Okay, I don't even need the prices here on the sides when I day trade. Okay, all the dates at the bottom, doesn't matter. Right, guys, I can see you guys want to have a look at some altcoins. I heard the start and end of the bull market is often the same. Is that something you also have seen before? Yes. Well, I haven't been a part of so many bull and bear markets. Okay, I've only traded one, and I've been part of the previous one before that from an investment perspective, but not from a trading perspective. So it would be interesting to go and analyze that. Okay, so I mean, we can quickly look over here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. This looks more like an impulse. Okay, but it looks more like a. Yeah, I mean, this is an impulse. This is not an ending diagonal. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's no overlap. Okay, so it does count better as an impulse, not a ending diagonal. Just want to take a fib here from the low to the high. Didn't tap the invalidation for fourth wave. So for me, just looking at it very quickly, this looks way better as an impulse, okay, than any contracting diagonal. This pivot didn't go into the territory of 1. So, I mean, yeah, and that was the end, okay? And then all hell broke loose here to the downside. Right, but it didn't end in a ending diagonal. That's the point. Okay, so based on the previous bull market, no, I don't think that theory stands up. Right, if you're performing Elliott wave counting on a daily chart, it should be more reliable, and if you can't identify a wave 4, then it likely doesn't exist. Yes, but here on the daily time frame, if I look at this little move here to the upside, I can see a consolidation. That's the thing, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I can see there's a red candle or a purple candle in my case. So I can see it on the daily time frame. Okay. Right, so legends, I must say, okay, I would love the 112 to play out. Okay, I mean, it's the most insane bullish case scenario that we have over here, is to say that, well, this is forming a 112, the invalidation is still very far away, so even if price comes down a little bit further, it doesn't really matter. You're looking at a 112, and you want to see an explosion in a third wave here to the upside that could potentially go past $150,000. This is the insane most bullish case scenario, but you know, I like to keep it level-headed and say, well, guys, technically, okay, this scenario carries the highest probability. Okay, so which one are we going to get? I think we just need a massive catalyst for price to run here to the upside. We need a massive catalyst. I don't know what that catalyst is at the moment from a fundamental perspective. Okay. Interest rate cuts is not on the table at the moment. So perhaps it needs one more high and it needs a longer consolidation. So by the time it gets here, maybe that's when, you know, during this time, this is where the interest rates will be, you know, will be slammed or cut. Okay. Which will give us the catalyst that we need for upwards momentum. So at the moment, I'm not sure what's going to happen in the world. And, you know, you all know the dumb and stupid things that Donald Trump sometimes says that brings the markets to its knees. Okay, maybe he says something clever. I don't know. But this scenario technically at the moment carries the highest probability. Okay, the invalidation for the scenario is taking the lows, which is obvious because once you take $74,000, okay, then you will know, okay, well, this was an ending diagonal. Okay, ending diagonal, but now you're starting to break market structure. So once you take the lows, well, now we can confirm that we are going into a bear market, but there's no confirmation yet. It's just speculation at the moment. Okay, the confirmation at the moment is that we are still in bullish structure, higher highs, higher lows. That's the confirmation. You need this low to be taken to confirm bearish scenarios. And it's still very far away. Okay, but obviously after the fifth wave is made, not now. If it falls down here, okay, and it takes this low, it's going to look very bad. Okay, if price falls down here and it takes this low, bad. Okay, if you don't see that wave. Right. And remember, legends, if you want to come and trade with me, let's dive into the amazing deals we have here on these exchanges. Okay, I've got Phoenix, guys. Phoenix, right? 20% discount on the money that you deposit in your futures account. All you need is an email and a password. Okay, Phoenix is a great trading platform, and I've got weeks 20%, also 25% discount on your trading fees. BTCC up to $10,000 sign up bonus. Also, you can trade stocks and commodities on BTCC using your USDT or Bitcoin. And then Bluffin, guys, is still the number one that I've got over here. This is still where I have all my swing trades open, like I've highlighted. Okay, also your way to support the channel. All you need is an email and a password to sign up. Okay, right, let's go through some Dewald. Rates are happening at 17 September. From a thanks for that, Stefan1. From a historical perspective, you guys have to just keep in mind that when rate cuts starts happening, okay, it's not gonna. So let's say rate cuts is gonna happen today. Okay, let's just say it's not gonna do that. Okay, from a historical perspective, often what happens is when rate cuts start happening aggressively, okay, price first makes a correction. Then after a couple of weeks, it starts catching up. Okay, because remember, rate cuts is not a good thing. Rate cuts is to prevent a recession. The market is in a very bad space. So rate cuts is not just going to send everything flying, and purely, you know, and based from a historical perspective. Historically, what usually happens is maybe you get a pump, but you get a retracement before price starts catching up. Okay, so I'm not saying it's going to happen here, guys. I'm just using price as an example right now. Okay. Opened my account after a long time and everything is okay. Right, I'm not sure how that... I'm sure you guys deleted that comment. Yes, I think you deleted that comment and I just showed it here on the live stream. I don't want to read that out loud. Okay. Hi, Dewald. What, in your opinion, is the best way to convert ZAR into crypto? ZAR into crypto? Well, many of the exchanges, like on Bluffin, on Phoenix, you can pay money into the exchange using your debit and credit card. Okay, so you buy USDT or USDC. Okay, so you can buy a stable coin. If you do have ZAR in the exchange, like Binance, I think Binance is maybe the only exchange that has ZAR inside of it, then you can convert it. Okay, it has a little convert button next to it. You can convert it into USDT. Right. Dewald, on the smaller time frame, can we count 5 waves inside the 5th wave after the tiny... Woo! Which smaller time frames? Okay, 15 minute, 5 minute. Which structure are you referring to? That's now the question. Okay, because I have gone through all the scenarios inside of the structure during the beginning of the stream. Okay, Donkey Dewald, absolute pleasure. Right, and didn't mean anything bad. I got some socks for you to smoke. Feel your bra. Right, legends, that is basically the update here from my side. Remember, for the best bonuses and most amazing deals on the exchanges, use the links down in the description, guys. It costs you nothing extra, and you get the best deals that those exchanges has to offer. Right, if you want to join our Legends Pro community, also link down here in the description. Thank you so much for attending this live session here with me. This is unfortunately all I have time for at the moment. So until the next one, cheers for now.